Hey friends, welcome back for another Brutus Monroe video. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be making a project that would be great for kids to receive. I'm actually going to be making a little folder. We're going to be using some of these products. This is the Trick or Treat stamp set, and we are using the Paint Spot stencil along with some of these other products that you see here. We'll talk a little bit more about those later, but I went ahead and made some coloring sheets. These are A2 size. I stamped these onto some alcohol marker cardstock, and we're going to talk about each one of the panels. I just went ahead and stamped them in some Raven Detail ink. And then this is the first one. This one uses plastic Fangs. This one uses the Sweater Simple Blend along with the Pumpkin Faces stamp set. And then the sentiment comes from the Christopher-isms. I thought that was fun. And then we have another panel that we've colored or stamped. This one uses that Trick or Treat stamp set again. And then it also uses the Circle Simple Blend. And then I did a little freehand drawing behind the pumpkin just to give it some ground. But wouldn't these be fun to stick on a table or give to a child so that they could color up however they wanted? And then this one uses that Trick or Treat stamp set again, and I just kind of free-handed the grass in the background, and then used the Circle Simple Blend on the moon. And here's another fun one. This was great because I used the hat from the Trick or Treat stamp set and then brought in a non-Halloween set. This is the See You Soon stamp set. How fun to go through your stash of stuff and see what you could create, what kind of Halloween scenes you could create, or even Thanksgiving for that matter. Or Christmas for sure. And then this is another one. This one uses the Eggcellent Gnomes and one of the previous stamp of the months. And so then we have this fun little like decorate your pumpkin scene. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to have a helper the whole time. I have one piece of poison apple cardstock that I am going to make into a folder. So I'm going to score this right down the center. This is the 5.5 inch mark. We're scoring that all the way. And then I want to see how these will fit in there. So I'm going to score this now at 2.5 inches. I figured that would just be easy. So we're going to score that whole thing like that. And then we can go ahead and fold it up. And so this will make our folder. It's great. So you've got these little A2 pieces that'll fit just beautifully in there. And then we're just going to reinforce those score lines. But then we're going to decorate the folder as well. So I'll open this back up, and then I'm going to grab out that Paint Spots stencil, one of my favorites. But yeah, those will fit in there perfectly. So I'll grab out the stencil, and then we're going to tack that down. One of the things I love about this stencil is that it is basically a continuous stencil. I'll show you what that means here in a second. I'm going to tape that down with a little bit of purple tape. Like I said, my helper, this is Miles. He's going to be helping the whole time today. Well, almost the whole time. And I'll take it from him because he's usually so curious that he's just tearing stuff up. I've brought in my mini Ergo blending brush along with some Simon Hurley Woof ink. And this is fairly subtle. It's not like a really dark gray. It's a light gray. And I'm not going to go real intense with how I'm putting this on my background. It's just fairly subtle, but it puts something on that background. And we're going to go all the way to the edge, trying to be careful not to go past the edge. If you're smart, you'll mask it. I'm clearly not that smart, so I didn't mask it. But I didn't have any of the, it didn't go over the top. So this is what I'm talking about by continuous. The top and the bottom match, which is awesome. And I don't know if the sides match. They might match too. So that's something to look at. But then I'll pull this away and it'll look like that stencil was all the way, all the way up there. Now I need to stamp out my sentiment for the outside. And yeah, Miles he's quality control here. He just wanted to make sure that I had that on there straight. So I'll put this into my mini Misty. And then I am going to use a magic powder bag on this. He's very intrigued by the magnet. But I'll use the magic powder bag on there, wipe away the excess with my surface sweep. And then I'm going to ink up that stamp a couple times with some embossing ink. And if you do hear some pounding in the background, they're working on our roof right now. I always want to do these voiceovers when they're either working on our roof or they're mowing right outside. All right, for our embossing powder, this one was just too perfect not to use. This is the Clementine embossing powder. Beautiful bright orange, and it looks so good on that Raven cardstock. So I'm going to heat set that till that is smooth and melted, trying to make sure and keep everything away from Miles. But no, not even the sound of the heat tool causes him to be afraid. Because honestly, I don't think he's afraid of anything. He just isn't. He just wants to be in where the people are, even if they're strangers. He just doesn't care. Maybe he's part dog. I'm not sure. Or, you know, it definitely could be the fact that he is Siamese. All right, I'll pick up my mess so that Miles doesn't run off because he does love coffee filters. And he has had a tendency to grab those and run off. And then I'm going to take my microfiber cloth and wipe away the excess magic powder bag. And then kind of match that up. And then we'll pull in our guillotine trimmer and trim down our sentiment. And then we'll get ready to do our stamping of our pumpkins. And those pumpkins come from that Trick or Treat stamp set. I'm going to stamp those a couple times onto that alcohol marker cardstock using my Raven Detail ink. Just because I want to make sure that I have a good crisp impression. One of the things about that though is you just do want to make sure that you have that heat set before you start coloring with your markers, because you can smear that ink if you're not careful. We're going to start off with some Y35. I know sometimes when we think about pumpkins, we just go right to orange, but remember you want your pumpkins, well, depending on your color palette, I guess. This one, I wanted them to have a little bit of a glow. So I started with the Y35 and then I went in with some Y19, so it's a little bit darker. And then I'm going to bring in now the YR6, I think it's 6-8. And then I'm using a feathering motion. I'll do the same thing for all three. And then I'm going to work backwards with that Y19. Just to kind of blend that out. But notice that yellow gives it a nice little glow. And then we'll use an E87 for our stems. And we are going to fussy cut those out. I know some of you are cringing, but this is such a simple image to fussy cut out. It's a pumpkin that's basically round. And my tip for you on this is just, you know, keep your scissors basically where they are as you cut and move your paper. Start with, I mean, you could start with the stem on this one because they're not like a real intricate piece, but another little tip is don't start cutting on a real intricate piece because it could be a bit of a hard cut at that point. So I like to start usually on the circle part of whatever, or a big part. And then, yeah, just move your paper as you cut. And then I'm looking at my Trick or Treat and I decide I do want to bring in some white stitching. So I'm just going to grab a gel pen, just add some little faux stitching on those edges, make it look like it's stitched down to our folder, and then I'll attach that down using some liquid glue. As you notice, my helper left. I think he got a little bored at that point, which honestly I'm surprised he stayed as long as he did. He probably went to go find Max, maybe take a nap or wrestle. That's what they do. And then I'm going to attach down my pumpkins once I kind of figure out how I want them. And we'll use that liquid glue once again to attach these down. You could use some foam tape on here, but I just wanted to make sure these were nice and secured down since I'm going to be giving this to a child. And it may get opened and closed a lot. And now that all of our pumpkins are down, I originally thought about maybe using ribbon to close this, but I thought that might be hard for little hands, might fumble with that. So I decided to grab some VELCRO. This is a sticky back VELCRO, and I'm going to grab the two pieces that go together. You have a front and a back. One is a little softer, one's a little harsher, and trim off those two pieces. And these are, I think, a 5/8 inch. And then I'll attach down the one part first. Just peel off that release paper, attach that down, and then stick my top part onto it, and then peel off the release paper, and then close it up. Make sure it's nice and adhered on there, and then it opens and closes nice and easy. And there it is, such a fun little thing. And then you can pair it up with like some colored pencils or some markers or whatever you want to use. I know that Brutus Monroe has a lot of great options in the store, and I'll have a link down below to their options. But there it is. I'd love to know what you think of this. If you liked this video, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.